And welcome to the QCast. This is season 3, episode 36. And this will be a very fun one because I have a couple of my guys with me here today. I've got Lucas Helfen and Cody Mitchell, a couple graduating seniors from the Illinois Wesleyan men's basketball team. And Cody and Lucas, I was just thinking to myself, I graduated from Illinois Wesleyan in 1993, and you guys are the class of 2023. So there's a 30-year situation here, which kind of that's disturbing to me, first of all. But I also got to thinking, what was I doing in April of my senior year? And I'll tell you what wasn't happening a lot was a lot of library visits and a lot of there wasn't a lot of books going on, guys. And I need to check in with the current Titans. Lucas, tell me what your a day in the life of Lucas Helfen looks like right now. What do we got going?
Yeah, I mean, I got a pretty busy schedule. I only have class on Tuesday and Thursday. And there's 3 classes, and one of them is with Coach Rose, actually, and it's called Teaching Basketball.
Oh boy.
So that's a tough class. No, but it's really been a lot of just working out, hanging out with my buddies, and playing golf. Honestly, I've been playing a lot of golf. We're in the Wesleyan Golf Club, so you get free golf after 3 every day. So that's kind of how I've been spending my time.
Yeah, I've seen your golf swing, and I mean, you swing hard, but we got to get you dialed in a little bit more, right? I mean,
yeah, well, it's just off the tee. The driver sprays, but from 150 in, I'm pretty consistent, I'd say.
I love the class, by the way. My senior year, second semester, I took theory and practice of basketball with Coach Bridges. I got an A, by the way. So nicely done by you. Cody, let me check in with you here. April, senior year, about to graduate. What's going on with Cody lately?
Yeah, like Lucas said, a little bit of a whole lot of nothing. Kind of going to class, getting my work done, getting my work done on time, just focusing on graduating, and then me and Hef getting shots up, getting lifts in, that type of thing, and then afternoon just kind of hanging out. I play a lot of video games. I'm trying to stay away from the links a little bit for my back and such like that. So I grind out some video games, hang out on the porch, try to enjoy the weather a little bit. That's about all I'm doing right now.
Well, it sounds very familiar. We may be 30 years apart in graduation years, but it sounds awfully familiar to me, guys. And we'll talk about kind of where you guys are heading, because you both have really cool, exciting stuff going on. And I'm really happy to talk through that stuff. Let's just first talk a little bit, guys, about the season. And it was a tough one. Lucas, it seemed like a season where we were in every game. It's unbelievable how many tough, heartbreaking losses in the final minute, the 30 seconds, the final 2 minutes. Well, looking back, Lucas, your take on what was a pretty tough season.
Yeah, I mean, our season definitely had some ups and downs throughout the whole season. I just felt like every time we got rolling, we win 1-2 games in a row, we'd lose 1-2 games in a row, and we were in every game. We fought as hard as we could, and we knew coming in that we were going to be kind of the underdog to most games, as our schedule was the toughest among D3 in the regular season, and the inexperience that we brought this year kind of showed at the beginning of the year, especially, and we just couldn't get the dominoes falling in the right direction at the right time, and that hurt us overall. And yeah, it was just an up and down year. And personally, I took a lot from it and definitely learned. But there's definitely a few games that I wish I can go back and replay.
Cody, on your end, interested in your take on the season. It was weird, like from a viewing standpoint, someone just watching the stream from Dallas, Texas. It just seemed like, for some reason, the things just didn't mesh all the time, and down the stretch, boy, it seemed like every big play went the other way. What was your take, Cody, on the way the season played out?
It was interesting. I mean, I was super grateful. Me and Lucas both like the opportunity to lead together, kind of be captains together. I mean, that's something I'll never take for granted. So many learning experiences from that, and just a cool opportunity to have. So that was awesome. But on the court, yeah, it kind of felt that every big shot, every big play wasn't going our way. I mean, first one that comes to mind is Wheaton. So, I mean, that type of stuff wasn't bouncing our way. Also, like you said, kind of the meshing thing. I mean, some guys were asked to do things that they didn't think they were gonna have to do. I mean, people leaving, people coming in, roles open up, people kind of having to adjust on the fly and make it work. So that was kind of our motto this year was next man up, make it work, no excuses. And I mean, we're about a few minutes away from actual time on the court from about 5 or 6 more games
Yeah,
that we have.
I mean, you could just go down the list. I can't remember the order of these things, but starting with the final 2 minutes of Stevens Point at home, and you go to South Dakota. The I mean, Lucas, you had a shot against St. Joe, right? They were number one most of the year, and you just go like game by game, and it was like, holy cow, here comes another tough one. You guys both had great seasons. I mean, Lucas, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Cody, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. You guys were fantastic night in and night out. Um, as you guys now look to, I just want to ask you a little bit about next season, because I think we all expect that the Titans are going to be really good next year when you guys look at who returns. Lucas, tell me a little bit when you look at the guys that it will return next year, who should Titan fans be excited about in terms of, guys leading the way next year, whether it's someone we know about or maybe someone that's a little bit under the radar? Who should people be
Yeah,
excited about?
absolutely. Well, I think they should be excited about the whole Titan program. I mean, from our bottom guy to our top guys, we ooze talent, and that was never a problem last year. We always knew we were good enough. It was just actually doing it. But if I had to put anyone on your radar, I mean, Nick Roper obviously is going to help the Titans a huge amount, but that's kind of a not a given, but a win vote, I'd say. We know Nick Roper is going to be a part of that team, and I think his ability to guard, score at 3 levels, and his length on defense is just a matchup nightmare. So I think he is going to have a great season. I also think Hakeem kind of had to struggle this year a little bit, to be honest, and you can't blame him in the slightest. I think he played his heart out. He got put in a role where he was not very comfortable and had to do things that he wasn't accustomed to doing, especially at the level that he was doing it at. So I see a big growth year for him, and kind of taking that first year of playing experience and taking it and just running with it. So those are my 2 that I would
Yeah,
watch
Nick
out for.
Roper, 6'8", 3-man. That boy, is he kind of a mismatch at the Division III level. And I agree, Lucas, about Hakeem. I really like Hakeem, and I thought that he played his tail off this year. He was asked to play point a lot. Basically, you guys kind of split time, and I think Hakeem would be the first to tell you he's more of an off the ball guy. But when you're being asked to play the point at the CCIW level, that's pretty tough. And I thought there were ups and downs with Hakeem, but I thought overall he was extremely impressive to me. Cody, what about you in terms of next year? Who should Titan fans be excited about? And you can certainly repeat names, or if you got anyone else, but give us a name or two.
Yeah, I mean, definitely as far as repeating, I mean, definitely the 2 guys Lucas mentioned. I mean, they're phenomenal. Like you said, Roper is kind of a unicorn at this level and the matchup nightmares he brings. So definitely those 2 guys. I'll give my bigs a little love. I think Harry, Evan, and Marco are really going to come on here. I mean, they all 3 of those guys just have so much potential, so talented. I mean, I love Marco on the basketball court. He's got that tenacity on the glass that I love. I think he could come in and swipe away a lot of those rebounds that are graduating this year. So I love him as a prospective player this year. And then I mean, they got all the potential in the world. I mean, he's got the world at his fingertips. He's a massive frame, kind of like Roper in that way, kind of a unicorn
Right.
for our level. So he's super talented and has a big opportunity this year. So
Cody, as a fellow big, I wanted to ask you about kind of Harrison's sophomore season. It seemed to me that, he went through that transition from being a freshman and having a lot of good looks because there was a whole bunch of guys around him to, he was really collapsed on quite a bit this year. And it seemed like he made that tough transition to his sophomore year where people knew who he was. They paid a lot of attention to him. What's that like when you go from a freshman that plays a little bit to a sophomore that plays a lot? Because you went through that same thing.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think he had a little bit of a realization that he wasn't the kid coming in to give Larry a breather anymore. He's kind of asked to do a lot more on the court, asked to be a real threat out there, which every team expects him to be. He was scouted as a starting center and treated it like one. So I think a lot of this year was kind of him realizing his own potential, realizing how big of a role he can have, how good he can truly be. And it's tough, especially when, like you said, those defenses start collapsing. People are throwing doubles at him because you're 6'9", 240, and they can't help it.
Right.
So it's definitely a tough thing to navigate. I think the biggest thing I'd say was how much Coach Etheridge kind of helped me navigate that space, and I think the same will happen for him. He'll definitely get his feet under him this year.
Yeah, I think if there's a guy who, for some reason, maybe if his stock is lower than it should be, I mean, Harrison Wilmson has all the potential to be a great, like a superstar level D3-5 man. And I'm excited about his junior year, excited about Nick and Hakeem, and, the obvious one, which would be Ryan Soroka coming back as a captain. So I know that we all feel like the team has a chance to be really, really good next year. I think people look at it like, well, you had a rough year and your two best players are leaving. But I think we all know that there's a chance for that not to be the case. Want to talk about you guys for a second. College basketball is interesting with the transfer portal, guys. And sometimes I get questions from people that see Division III schools able to attract fifth-year guys. Like Wheaton brought back Tyson Cruikshank, and they brought in TJ Askew as a fifth year. And some people be like, well, why did your boy Larretts leave and Lambesis? And now why is Cody and Lucas leaving? I know the answer to this question, so but I'm still going to ask you. So Lucas, explain to folks why it makes more sense for you. It's kind of a no-brainer to go play this fifth year somewhere else. And then I'll ask Cody the same question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, I'm actually getting my degree from Wesleyan this year, and so is Cody. So there really would be no point through school to actually continue going to Illinois Wesleyan playing. And then on top of that, at the D3 level, they can't give scholarships. And a big part of my process was finding a school that was going to be able to accommodate me financially for basketball. And that was just a big selling point for me because
Sure.
My parents, they did help me out with college, but I do have some skin in the game and I'm kind of cut off. So I no longer wanted to go into any more debt and just kind of get my MBA and play basketball at a higher D2 level. So I'm very excited for next year.
And Cody, same situation you're going to graduate here very, very soon. You're going to have a degree from Illinois Wesleyan. Same thing as Lucas, or anything to add on that front?
Yeah, I mean basically the same thing. Obviously, the reason us two and the two last year, Larry and Pete, left is because Wesleyan doesn't offer that master's program. So doing that, going to get my MBA was a big part of it. And yeah, basically the same reasons Lucas said. I mean, that financial freedom is a big thing. Getting those scholarships was huge for us, and being able to play at the next level, kind of get a new experience that we haven't had.
Yeah, there's a big difference between, I think there's a lot of Division IIIs that have grad programs, and then many do not, like Illinois Wesleyan does not. So even if we take money out of the equation, if you're at a place where you can get a master's degree at a D3, at least it's something to think about. But for you guys having degrees, and you will have graduated, of course, it makes more sense to go somewhere where you can leave next year with a graduate degree. So kudos to you guys. Lucas, excited that you have picked the Choctaws of Mississippi College. Clinton, Mississippi. Is that correct, Lucas?
Yep, Clinton, Mississippi, right by Jackson. It's southern Mississippi.
What does a kid from St. Charles, Illinois know about Clinton, Mississippi? I mean, I think they probably talk funny down there. I mean, what do you know about Mississippi, Lucas?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know anything. I know my dad's kind of been around the world a little bit, not the world, but the United States. And he's kind of talked a little bit about it, but I'm really going there for the experience. I want to go somewhere away from my comfort zone and just seeing the same people I see every day. And I think it's an opportunity for me to grow as a human being and a basketball player. And I'm just excited to kind of take on this experience with open arms and my head down and ready to work hard. And I'm excited.
Division II, really good conference, the Gulf South Conference. So you have a lot of really strong programs in there. How do you think that the competition level will compare or not compare to the CCIW? What's your early take on what you've checked out?
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. I've played in some open gyms just in the recruiting process, and I would say the level between D2 and D3 is a lot closer than people think. And just my short experience, I don't know that for sure, and I'm looking forward to seeing that level of play and hoping I can play up to it.
I'm sure you will. Do you know, will they play you at the 1, at the 2, at the 3? Any thought what your role will probably be there?
Yeah, so I've been talked to the coach. They want me to be kind of a combo guard. They have the coach's son's actually coming in. He's also a combo guard 1-2. So we've kind of talked about just being able to push the ball with either one of us who get it.
That's great. Your experience this year having to be the primary guy. I mean, that's gonna pay huge dividends for you at the D2 level, being asked to play that role. And Cody, really cool opportunity for you to go into the city in Chicago and to play for Coach D Brown, the Roosevelt Lakers. What was the decision, Cody, to pick Roosevelt? It seems like a great fit, but how did you arrive at it?
Um, it really just checked all the boxes. I think it's pretty cool how me and Lucas are kind of great examples of kind of each side of the coin that you can go through in the portal. Lucas was hungry for that experience going far away. Like he said, he'll grow a ton far away from home. He'll learn a ton, and it's just like wanting different things. Like staying close to home was more of a priority for me. So I think it's cool to see how both sides of the portal work there. And yeah, a big thing for me was both my brothers live in the city. My parents will still be able to come to games, and then honestly, D Brown played a big role in it. I mean, he made the effort multiple times to come out, see me, make a connection. Kind of knew that I wanted to stay near my family, be near my brothers. So all that kind of played a hand. It all tied in together. And then obviously roll on the court. I'm excited to come in as a fifth year and have the opportunity to try and lead and win some games.
And I'm sure they're excited. They're in that process of going from NAI to Division II, and so I think they have big plans ahead. You'll have to tell Coach Brown that, like, remind him that back in the day he played a game against the Titans in 2005. I think November 2005. That team with Douchis and Emilianovic actually played Illinois at what was then the Assembly Hall. I think the Titans were tied with like 13 minutes to go. So you'll have to remind him about his game against Adam Douches because it was a pretty good one.
Well, yeah, the Titans are usually tied with about 13 minutes to go. That sounds about right. So.
That's a very good point. Let's talk a little bit. I wanted to ask you guys about the role of the coaching staff throughout your career. I think one of the things that the program really can lean on is Coach Rose and Coach Etheridge and the whole staff. Lucas, what's that staff kind of meant to you over the course of the last 4 years here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that coaching staff has really been a rock for me, and I owe all of my success and everything I've done here credit to them for helping me get to where I am today. I mean, I've had a few GAs in my experience just over the 4 years. Every 2 years they come in and out. So the previous two have been JB and Coach T, and they've both been just tremendous. I couldn't ask for better GAs in my experience here. And then the rest of the coaches, Coach Levin, Coach Wheat, I mean, they have been just the most player coaches I could ever ask for, always there for me, always if I ever need anything. And then Coach Etheridge is, I mean, one of the best assistant coaches in the nation, I would say. He really does a great job of balancing that players coach, but also knows when to get on guys and kind of do what he needs to do for the Titan team. And then Coach Rose, I don't think I could say enough words about Coach Rose. He, in my 4 years, has always been a man of his word, never lied to me, always stuck to his ways, and he's the reason that I've kind of enjoyed these past 4 years.
Cody, how about on your end? Just talk a little bit about the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lucas definitely did him justice. I mean, we are blessed at this school with a phenomenal coaching staff. I mean, Coach Rose, when it's all said and done, I mean, he's an all-time great Hall of Fame head coach, so it's awesome to play for him. I mean, I can't really stress or put into words really like how big of an impact Coach Etheridge has had on me. I mean, he's been someone I could confide in, come to for all 4 years. I mean, relationship that extends way beyond basketball. So I think for all the big men too. I mean, he's a rock for us. And then we got some of the best assistants in the world. We got some guys who are gonna make practice fun to come to, be able to kind of hang out with, like just talk, be closer with them than you'd anticipate coming to college that you will end up being with your assistant coaches. So it's definitely a cool atmosphere that we have here.
Yeah, it's a very, very tight community. And we won't spend a ton of time on this, but I'd remiss if I didn't bring up the tragedy that's happened this off season with Trey Bazzell's brother Dylan. Still really I don't really have any words for what the family is going through, what Trey is going through. And Lucas, I'll just ask you to make a few comments about this, but it's had to be really tough to see one of your brothers going through what Trey's going through. Can you just talk a little bit about what's been happening there?
Absolutely. I mean, just first, just prayers and blessings to the whole Bazzell family, and they have been rock solid throughout this whole thing. I mean, they are just very strong people, and times like these really make you understand that life's bigger than basketball sometimes, and make sure that the loved ones around you kind of understand that. And I mean, it's just a tragedy, and we love the whole Bazzell family, and we're always there for them, the whole Titan family, and I'm sure that extends much more than I even know. But it's just a tragedy, and it's tough. It's a tough situation, and hanging on for the Bazzell family.
Cody, on your end, I know this, Trey is such a big part of the family, and to see, how's it been to see a teammate go through what Trey and Trey's family and friends are going through right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. Like Lucas said, I mean, thoughts and prayers like to the Bazzells. I mean, they've been awesome throughout this whole thing, and seeing Trey go through something like that is terrible. But it was awesome that we could all be there for him at the wake and funeral, the team going out to show him support. I mean, something like that, it's so unprecedented. It puts a pit in your stomach. It really
Yeah.
does. So, I mean, there's not much else to say besides that. I mean, we all love Trey, have his back to the fullest, and it's awesome that he knows that, and he has this community to kind of fall back on. So really just feel for the family and all that.
Yeah, continued thoughts and prayers with the whole Bazzell family. And again, there's really, it's hard to figure out what to say or do when stuff like this happens. I think what you guys have done though, which is, I remember I was in school, and a fraternity brother of ours, his mom died tragically in an accident. And I remember another guy said, when something like this happens, the best thing you could do is just go be there with that person. Just do it, even if you're uncomfortable and you don't know what to say or do. And someday Trey will look back on the role that you guys played in helping him through this, and it'll be a big deal to him, and I'm sure it is currently. So just keep loving him and supporting him, and that's all you can do. Want to ask you guys a little bit, just your perspective for high school kids that are going through recruiting, whether it's they're for juniors right now starting to get recruited, maybe it's their seniors, and they're trying to make a decision. Lucas, any tips? And this isn't meant to be a why you should go to Illinois Wesleyan question. This is truly a question around, like, looking back on the recruiting process, things you learned and things you've learned since then. What would you say to a high school senior that is starting to consider Division III schools and maybe Division II schools, and any tips that someone would like to listen to, and that we could pass on?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first I'll just say it's interesting being a 21-year-old now in the portal compared to an 18-year-old. I'm just a totally different human being than I was when I was 18. But I kind of pick up on those things now, especially going on a few experiences, flying to some of these places, things I've never done before. My biggest piece of advice would be make sure that you have a good connection with the coach and the assistant coaches, and also try to talk to the players, because at the end of the day, those players are people you're going to be playing with, and what they might tell you behind closed doors, if you can just even spend a night with them and kind of see what their program's about from a player's perspective. I think that just is a good piece of advice, to see the people who are going through it right now, how they truly feel about the situation. But yeah, it would just be kind of going there with open arms, be honest. You're last name is the only last name you're ever going to get, so you can't ruin that reputation. Just be a man of your word, and yeah, that's what I would my piece of advice.
That's great, really great stuff. Cody, how about on your end? There's kids that are getting right in the middle of the process right now. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say me and Lucas definitely have a lot better perspective on it now that we've been through it the second time, which is a little weird. But I mean, this might be a cliche, but my biggest piece of advice that helped me the most this time around is just ask questions. Coming out of high school, I feel like you can be more timid, a little more, you're not as confident in yourself to really ask what you want to know, ask questions that'll lead you to the answers you're looking for. So just ask away as many as you can to really narrow down what it is about a certain school that'll tip them either over the edge or push them out of contention. So having a better understanding of the schools and really what your 4 years will look like beyond basketball, because it's easy to get caught up in just wanting the big lights or wanting to go
Right.
where you're going to play and stuff like that. It's your life. It's 4 years. It's your whole experience. So just asking those questions would be my biggest piece of advice.
That's great stuff. I appreciate that. I know a lot of people will take heed. I want to ask you guys your most memorable Titan game. It's a tough question. You got 4 years worth of games. You guys played through a weird time, guys. The pandemic. Holy cow! I remember that season where you started in January, and I'd have to wait to get word that like the bus started leaving to know the game was on. So kudos to you guys for dealing with what you've dealt with the whole time. But Lucas, is there a certain game that you look at that was the most memorable for you over the 4 years?
There's definitely one game that unfortunately will be a memory for me, just the Wabash game. I mean, that game will haunt me and I think the rest of our squad there for the rest of our lives. We were 5 minutes away from putting up a banner in the Shirk Center, and we couldn't get it done. And that whole game, that whole year was just a special year. And I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like if there was no COVID. I mean, I think 90% of our losses that year were all fifth year guys. So that game specifically will haunt me the rest of my life.
Yeah, that was a tough game. You Elite Eight game at home, and I think the lesson in all that is that like that's how life goes, though.
Yeah.
You think you're set up, and you think you're in great shape, and you try really hard, but something happens and it doesn't go your way. And I remember seeing you guys after that game, and there's just not many words at that point because how down you guys were, and they played well, and they certainly made a lot of plays. There's a few shots and things that I know you guys would like back, but that's how life goes, Lucas. Like that, and boy, I'm with you. That was a game that from your 4 years that it was such a charge in the building, and we made such a
Oh
nice
my God.
comeback there, and it felt like maybe we had it under control there for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Cody, how about on your end? Is there a most memorable game over your 4 years?
I don't know. Selfishly, I'd say the Hope game, the second game of my junior
Yeah.
year was a big game for me just because kind of that summer, me and Lucas just in the lab all summer together, and kind of like we're super excited to come in as juniors and make our mark, but neither of us really knowing what our role was going to be. And then being able to explode like that in the Hope game was a special moment for me. But I'd say the single most memorable game had to be the UW lacrosse game
Yeah.
in the tournament, just because the energy, like you said, the energy in the building, the fire, that three I hit with about like 40 seconds left was just like stuff you'll never forget. Stuff you'll never forget. That lives with you forever. So
That's the
probably
shot that I think that was the one that was like from left wingish and deep. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
right? That yeah, incredible. Like that was a game-winning shot in NCAA tournament. The place was packed. You had a lot of baskets, Cody, in that stretch, like down the stretch of that season and in the tournament. You had a number of like 15-foot jump shots that you made. You had a lot of free throws that were like critical free throws. You got to be pretty thrilled with the opportunity you had to play big moments and play really well your junior season in those ball games.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was given a bit of a golden ticket. Not discrediting myself at all, but Doug had graduated. Me and him were tight. We were super close. He taught me a ton about the four and what it means to play the Titan way at that position. So then I kind of walked into this role my junior year and didn't really know what I was going to do with it. And then was fortunate enough to be able to share the front court with the best player in the country at the time. So I'd say some of those looks kind of fell upon me more than I earned them. But I was grateful to be there and glad I could step up in some of those moments. There was a stretch there where I had a couple big offensive rebounds and then led to free throws. And like you said, a couple random middies that ended up falling my way. So
Right.
yeah, it was a fun stretch of basketball to play as a junior.
It was fun to watch. Let me tell you, and Lucas, I wanted to ask you, if Coach Rose tried to play you at the position you played in high school, I don't know if you get too many minutes for the Titans, Lucas. So he kind of tells a story of his high school guy. You were kind of a four at times, right? Like 3, 4. And is it true that like your path to getting on the floor was learning how to play point guard? And so you did it on the JV team. Talk through how you transitioned from kind of your high school player style to getting on the floor, playing the 1 and the 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've kind of had an interesting journey over my years. In high school, I was a basketball player, but I was more of an athlete. I played baseball, basketball, and golf, and I really never worked on one of those sports because I was always in another sport. So coming to Wesleyan, I really had no idea my potential or ceiling in basketball. And my dad actually told Coach Rose that while I was getting recruited. He told him, he said, you don't know what you're getting, and I don't know what you're getting, because he's never had a single sport that he's focused and put all of his energy in. So coming in basketball wise, I did play the 4 in high school, but it was I was more of a 2-3. And then when we got in trouble, I would move to the 4. So I wasn't a low post dominant 4-man, but I did play the 4 a little bit. And then when I got here, yeah, I mean, I came in and kind of got my butt beat in a little bit, just trying to play that 1. Because when I got here, they told me that all the other positions, basically we had people and we didn't have a 1 for the JV squad. And I kind of opened that with my arms wide, and I just tried to do that as best as I could, was lead that JV squad. And it definitely was some long practices, some long days, long nights just thinking about it. But the people ahead of me definitely got me to where I was, just going at greats like Grant Wolf, Pete Lambesis, Luke Yoder, all those guys just over the past 4 years have grown. And my way to the floor, it has been interesting too, because I found the floor my sophomore year strictly because of defense. I think usually when I came in the game, I didn't even look at the hoop when I caught the ball. And then fast forward to being the leading scorer my senior year, it's definitely been a journey. And I just think I've grown so much, not only as a basketball player, but as a man. And I'm very thankful for my 4 years here. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, you're a good example for young guys that come in, like of having you were not handed a single thing. In fact, you were told, just like you were told, look, there's no spot for you unless you can learn how to play point guard on the JV team. And you did it.
Yeah.
And then you got in that role your sophomore year where you spelled some people, and your junior year, you played a really important role off the bench. I mean, that season doesn't play out the same way without you. And really good example for guys of like, hey, you got to work hard to get on the floor and be a player. And to be the leading scorer as a senior, I mean, pretty crazy. I remember when you committed, the head coach at Loris, Chris Martin, sent me a note, sent me a text. He said, you are going to really, really like Lucas Helfen. And I didn't know who Lucas Helfen was. I pay attention to recruiting. I knew who Cody was. And he's like, you're going to like Lucas Helfen. And I need to send him a note back to say I actually really did. You were right.
Yeah. Coach Martin, he's a great guy too. He was between there and Wesleyan when I was coming in here. So that's interesting.
He really, really was a big fan. Just a couple more questions, guys. Cody, I can't let you go without giving you some thanks for all the awesome stuff you've done with my little nephew, Alex. So that, the story is, Alex goes to his first ever basketball game, the Yeshiva game, which was our opener. And Alex really at the time wasn't a basketball kid at all. And something about that game, he just kind of took it all in. And He got to meet you afterwards. He got to meet tons of our guys. And he started asking his mom, who's my sister, afterwards about, this Cody Mitchell guy. And he gets the headband going and he starts playing basketball. Like he had never played basketball. He starts playing basketball. I've been to one of his games. He's actually really, really good. And he's way behind the other kids his age because he hadn't played, but he is catching up quickly and he plays all the time in his driveway. So I got to thank you for everything you've done. But you've changed a kid's life. You've got him into a sport. It's going to be, we all know that's going to be good for him. No matter how hoops plays out, it's going to be good for him. You've taken a lot of photos, Cody, this year with Alex. I know that. How's that gone for you?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, the opportunity to kind of interact with obviously your sister and Alex, and kind of have my hand in that family a little bit, and your family a little more is an interesting way that worked out. But it's been awesome. I mean, he's a great kid. It's always great, like him. Everybody wants to be wanted, Everybody loves a little attention. It's human nature. And then when kids are coming up to you after Titan games and asking for autographs on the player sheet, this and that, and asking for pictures. I mean, that's awesome. And Alex has just been great. He's always there supporting me. Him and your sister are always front row, telling me when I'm doing bad, telling me when I'm doing good. So
That's awesome.
it's been a really cool relationship that's kind of came from all this.
And I appreciate, Lucas, you were part of a photo with Alex too after I think maybe the final game at home, one of those. And so appreciate everything you guys have done on that front. It's one of the things the program has always done so well is kind of be good to the kids that are there in the Shirk Center and being role models. And you guys have certainly carried that tradition. Just maybe one final question is just I'd like to ask people, there's that hashtag, YD3. Sometimes I use it for fun. I find some crazy stuff and we'll retweet YD3, but I really do truly believe in it. It's such a great level of basketball. It's a great level of athletics. And I'd like to ask both of you as we close, if you could explain based on your experience, like why Division III is such a special thing and what you'd like kind of the people that are tuning into the QCast, whether they're, I don't know, a kid in high school right now that's listening to this or someone that's in school or an alum. On this one, Cody, I'll start with you, but give us your take on why D3 as we start to wrap up the QCast.
I mean, there's a million reasons why D3, like you said, it goes a lot deeper than just the hashtag and people throwing it around. But I'd say the biggest thing for me is the community. It's so different than, and I knew coming in, and I feel like anybody really realizes is like the CCIW, for instance. We're going to Milliken, Wheaton. It's weird how it's these small schools and you kind of form like a community within your conference and things like that. And kind of the fellowship that is Division III basketball. It's kind of wild, really. You don't realize it until you're in it. You're in it and you're a part of it and you fall in love with it. So I'd say that's a big part. I'd also say kind of more logistically, the academics are not to be overlooked in Division III. It is something that can be taken for granted, but it is super impactful and important that I think some kids coming out of high school might not realize, like we said earlier, how it's not just basketball, it's about your overall experience. So those two things I'd say are my biggest takeaways.
Yeah, that's really great stuff. Lucas, how about you? What's your YD3 take on things?
Yeah. Well, first off, I just want to say anybody who hates on Division III basketball doesn't know what they're talking about, respectfully.
Very true.
But yeah, very true. The biggest thing that I would say YD3 is just the tradition that it provides us, which I would say I have been blessed and a little biased with the Wesleyan and just the whole Titan family. But I mean, the culture and the tradition that is at Illinois Wesleyan is an experience that I would want 10 times out of 10. And I feel like you don't get that, especially in some of these higher levels. Basketball is kind of turning into a business a little bit. And I think you just get those traditions and that culture at that D3 level that you might not get at a higher level school. And yeah.
Yeah, that's really well said, guys. I think you've embodied that along the way. Cody, what you said about the sense of community. I think what you'll find is as you come back to Titan games, you'll run into guys you played against for Wheaton and Carthage, et cetera, and you'll kind of have that connection. And kind of, Lucas, to your point, the fact that most of college basketball has turned into a business, but it certainly has not at the Division III level, and that's something that's going to stay with you. One final question, then we'll close this out. Cody, you played high school basketball with Justin Hardy, teammate, and boy, what a sad story last year, but also what an inspiring story. And I know, Lucas, you're also from St. Charles, right? St. Charles North versus Cody's East. But Cody, I mean, as one of Justin's high school teammates, what's your take as you now reflect back on that whole Justin Hardy story and kind of what it's taught us?
I mean, I feel like it's more about really what's not to be said. I mean, it was inspirational, amazing, like a miracle. All these things, all these words you could use to describe it that are just. It was a special thing. It brought so many people together, specifically our community in St. Charles, but so far beyond that, the amount of lives he impacted, people he touched with his message. It was truly amazing. I mean, he was always a leader by nature, always kind of a voice, a strong presence, and I didn't think that'd be any different when he was going through his journey, and it wasn't. I mean, he was up for the challenge, always upbeat, always with a smile on his face, and I truly don't think people realize how difficult that is to do for someone in his situation. Obviously, I don't, and nobody really can. So, I mean, it was just amazing to be able to see when something as tough as that does happen, able to see some shreds of hope and happiness come out of it, where he could impact so many people, and I know how proud and how happy that must make, like, his family, his parents, who I know well and love and adore them, and it was just amazing overall. It was truly a special thing to come out of such a tragic situation.
Yeah, it really has. And you know, his father, Bob's been a huge supporter of yours along the way. You know, a lot of things I've tweeted about you, he'll retweet or comment on it. And he's been a really big supporter of yours along the way. And so we'll just say to Bob and Karen, we're continuing to think about you and Justin and the Hardy Strong legacy, and Justin will never be forgotten. I can tell you that. Let's close it out, guys. So first, I'm just going to say a few things, and then I'm going to ask each of you just to close us out. But really appreciate getting to watch you guys play it. It's kind of like Lucas said, that Wabash game kind of haunts him. Well, what haunts me is that you guys kind of you didn't get to go out in an NCAA tournament game. You know, I wish for you guys that the season went different, but look, again, that's how life goes. You know, we had a tough season, and you battled and you fought and you played hard, and you were great leaders and you were great role models, and things did not go our way. And that's what happens. You guys were fantastic Titans. You played the game the right way. The guys younger than you who got to play with you, they are better because they played with you. And that's probably the greatest legacy that anyone can leave. So with that said, Lucas Heflin, final thoughts here for those joining the QCast and checking this out today.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say I've been blessed over these 4 years to have just an amazing experience with the people I'm around, the people I got to meet, the things I got to do, and I'm a Titan for life. And if I could go back, I would make the same decision 100%. And I'll also say thank you to Bob. You have been nothing but our biggest supporters since the day we have come here, and you're doing great things for Illinois Wesleyan, but just D3 basketball in general. And I just want to say thank you from the whole Titan family, and that we appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Lucas. And Cody, how about you? What final thoughts do you have for the folks tuning in today?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off on the same foot. I mean, we really can't thank you enough for the work that you do for us, the exposure you give the program. I mean, it's unlike any other school in the country, the way it works out, and you do so much for the game of basketball at this level. So really thank you for that. And then other than that, my closing remarks are kind of what Lucas said. I mean, being a Titan is something I'll forever cherish. It's one of my proudest accomplishments, graduating from this university and being able to hoop here and leave our mark. So those are kind of my final thoughts. I guess the last thing I'll say is if it's any high school players watching this, go to your school, get a few rebounds, get on the court. You know, it's an easy way.
That's the easiest way on the court, is if you could defend and rebound, that would get you on the floor.
That's both of us right there.
Well, remember, guys, you know, I know I'm supposed to be promoting the YD3, but I do have to say that April of 1993 I mean, I may have been at Killarney's more than I was the library. I don't know. I don't have the stats, but I would just say this is enjoy your final time on campus. It's a special time. You should have fun with your friends and your teammates and your classmates. When is graduation day, by the way? What is the May something, right?
It's,
May 7th. Yeah,
It's
May 7th.
coming up very, very soon. Enjoy yourselves.
Too soon.
You guys have a great time. You've been awesome times. Lucas Heflin and Cody Mitchell, they are graduating from Illinois Wesleyan. They're on to big things for one more year, graduate degrees and more hoops. So we will make sure to follow them. Gentlemen, thank you. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
Thank you, Bob.